All right, welcome back, Bad Hombre, Coach Little Joe,
Yeah, man.
man responsible for me losing all this weight.
I can't take all the credit, but I'm definitely helping. But no, man, it's good to be back. I think it's been a while since the last time I did a podcast with you.
I think last we always do them around spring, just before summertime. I find because we get really busy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been busy for us both. So
Yeah,
it's good to be able to catch up and get back on here because I haven't done many podcasts lately. But you're right. Like once it gets more into the springtime and things are looking better outside, it makes you want to be more social in general.
So what's new? Tell me, bro. It's a lot. I feel like every time I talk to you, it's like a lot going on.
Well, man, it's always a mix of like good and bad and this and that. But for me, yeah, like I think I've just had to like transition my focus a lot more into trying to do different things with the business side of things and all of that. Like how my YouTube channel got taken down, which sucked.
Mm.
So I've kind of you know taken a bit of a U-turn or different direction, and I'm focusing on another platform now that I'm going to be launching next week. So I'm excited for that. And like the coaching side of things has always been consistent, so I've kind of continued there. And then just like keeping up with being active on social media, and I'm always open to different opportunities too. So like there's other ideas I have that are have been in the works, and hopefully they come to fruition. But I don't like to say too much until
Yeah,
about things until they happen. So you
yeah.
know,
You're one of those guys that do more than you speak. There's a lot of people that speak a lot more than what they do.
yeah, no, exactly, and that's why I don't like if I'm
Yeah,
speaking about it, it's like in my own head where you're just like, man, if this plays out, this is gonna be great. So you're just putting in that work, and once it's ready to be revealed, then you can reveal it, and then it's one of those scenarios where people always they look at it and they're just like, wow, I wish I had that, or
can you give us a little exclusive hint of the Bad Hombres podcast?
yeah, man, of course. So like, I'll give you a hint on the one thing that I am going to be launching soon, which is going to be I'm going to be launching a school community,
Yes.
and this community is going to be very beneficial for people. So if you're someone who liked, subscribing to my YouTube channel, learning about, you know, PEDs, TRT, all those things when it comes to like improving your physique. There's going to be a lot of information and videos in regards to that, but then I'm expanding further into going into more depth when it comes to training, nutrition, and even expanding into helping other coaches when it comes to like how they can improve their business, improve their social media marketing, and like all around. So it's going to be an opportunity for a lot of different like fitness professionals and people in the fitness world, especially men, to really level things up and learn more. And it's going to be really cheap for them to be a member of the community. So it's a very cheap way for them to level up, be a member of a community that's going to help better themselves in many aspects, business and personal goal wise. And through that they're going to save a lot of money. Whereas they'd probably have to hire individual coaches like to help them with these things, where they'd be spending thousands of dollars, and it's something where they can, have a low monthly fee or a yearly fee, and be a part of a great community and learn a lot, because the depths I can go to with a school community with all of this is going to be a lot more in depth than my other social media
Yeah.
platforms. And it's something that enables me to not have to worry about those barriers that other platforms have these
Yeah,
days.
it's like the other platforms. They make you color inside the line. I find.
Yeah, so it's like there's certain words you can't say, certain topics you can't really go in
Yeah,
depth on, and if you're posting certain opinions, a lot of it gets flagged and etc. So
shadow
that's
banned.
that's what I'm excited to be able to do, is not have to worry about those restrictions as much. Obviously, at the end of the day, when it comes to any type of like PEDs and things like that, like obviously I'm giving you advice, that's not me telling you what to do. I'm not a doctor, but I'm able to give people that guidance and that knowledge that I've learned from over 10 years of being involved at a professional level, with those things, and the training, the nutrition, and everything else that is encompassed in like bodybuilding and coaching.
Yeah, it's almost like you need two communities, right? One for coaches and then one for the clients.
Honestly, you could totally make them separate, but I'm gonna essentially, include them both in the same community so
Mm,
people can, it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Like the coaches themselves can
interesting.
learn my, approaches when it comes to the training, nutrition, PEDs, etc. So that's something that they can contribute towards their business as well.
Mm,
And then they can get the actual like, business side of things when it comes to like how to improve, what they're doing, whether it's social media marketing, or whether it's just like the image they portray and like how they approach, you know, showcasing that online. And then yeah, the other people who are going to obviously be more focused on the benefits when it comes to the PEDs, the nutrition, the training, etc. And I'm going to include a lot of benefits like giving out free training programs, giving out nutrition advice, like very very detailed type videos that
hmm
you know these people are going to be able to essentially almost like having a coach where they're going to have a lot of guidance to learn from, and then they'll be able to ask questions on lives, etc. So it's like there's going to be a lot they're getting for such a very minimal price.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the thing when working with you. It's like I find there's like zero gatekeeping, and that's probably one of the biggest thing that makes you different. Because a lot of coaches they gatekeep a lot of information, and they tell you just a tiny little bit.
Yeah.
With you, it's like you just give it all, right? And so I find that's probably the biggest difference that I notice.
Yeah, and like you want to be open with people and be honest and just like upfront and not be doing that kind of stuff because I feel like at the end of the day if you're gatekeeping, like I can understand it in the sense if you have people like DMing you and asking you a bunch of questions, but it's like if there's somebody that's willing to pay for a subscription or this or that, then it's like like I don't mind giving them additional like questions answered, etc. Because at the end of the day those are people that if they do find what you're showcasing them as beneficial, then potentially down the road they could be somebody that I could work with one on one as well, and and so on. So it's I think the way you approach things with people, it shows that you're passionate about something and willing to help them. And at the end of the day, it's about helping people and helping them progress. And the money always comes like
Hmm
when it comes to the business side of things if you focus on like meeting people's needs and giving them an offer that's more than what they bargained for you
Yeah,
know
yeah. Usually you over deliver is what I notice.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, it's you gotta over deliver because
yeah.
like the more you do that the more people where they're not going to go anywhere else because they know they're going to get the best of everything from you.
Are you how are you feeling about the overall sentiment around health with men and women? I know we hear a lot about obesity epidemic. Everybody's in really bad shape. Do you think people are getting in better shape now than before?
I think it's a mix because like I feel like since we had the pandemic's been like almost 6 years now, but like I feel like since then, there's definitely a shift when it came to like the health and fitness industry, and I think a lot of people, I think there are more people that are into health and fitness now, but I think it's varying, right? Like I think there's people that have varying degrees of like what they're interested in. There's people that like Pilates, pickleball, they might do mixed martial arts, they might do bodybuilding, whatever the case might be. And I think regardless of how you approach it, I think it's about doing whatever you're going to do something that's sustainable for you, and your lifestyle. You know what I mean? So it's like if you want to do something that keeps you healthy, I think all different types of fitness can keep people healthy. Like you don't have to be in the gym resistance training all the time. You don't have to be, playing sports, etc. It's like you got to find that balance between like what type of physical activity, is sustainable for you and what's something that's going to help you progress, to be, quote unquote healthy. And I think healthy is different for a lot of people, and like I think there are some metrics to it that are obvious, like having good blood work, having like a healthy amount of body fat, having healthy nutrition habits, sleep habits, exercise habits, etc. But depending on where you're starting from and what you're looking to accomplish, that's going to kind of determine how you approach it. And
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is like There's definitely not a one size fits all. Even the clients I work with, it's like, the programs I'm making, it's like everybody's approach is going to be different. The frequency they're working out, their nutrition, etc. Like it's all going to be different in how you handle it because they all have different lifestyles. They all have different occupations, careers. That it's like you have to do something where it's like you can integrate this into that, and it's going to help, if anything, benefit those other areas, not take away from them.
Yeah.
So it has to be sustainable at the end of the day, and I think that's the biggest thing is like people, if they look on social media and they see people preaching that this is the best way to get in shape, this is the best way to do this, etc., X, Y, Z. It's like they have to look at that with a grain of salt and understand that that might be the best for that person that's
Correct.
talking about it, or for a certain group of people. But you have to determine, what's the best for you, and that's something where like a coach like myself or someone else can help you determine that, and find the best approach. So that's like you're not wasting time trying 20 different things or 20 different approaches. It's like you find something that works for your body, sustainable, etc. And it's like, okay, maybe it takes you longer to lose 50 pounds or whatever your goal is, but it's sustainable. You can stick with it. That's the best thing at the end of the day.
I believe it. I think for me, what really, really works for me is sports.
Yep.
Martial arts was the biggest one for me. The best shape I've ever been in my early 20s was martial arts, and now I'm in my 30s. Like, this is the best shape I feel like in my 30s, and I'm 36 now, you
Yeah.
know? And it's when I started getting back into martial arts, adding that cardio. And when you came in, I was plateauing for like months. You came in, and I really, really leveled up. I have like body composition. I just feel great,
Yeah.
you know? I did slow down the last few months. I know I have excuses, but we can talk about discipline in a bit. But before we get to that, is there like a common thing, like a common theme that you find that people struggle with in the sense of like health? Do you see maybe people? Is it time? Do you find like nowadays because everything is so expensive, people have to work more than before? Like let's say for example, like in the '90s, 40 hours a week of work was enough, so people have more time. But now it's like everybody got to have that extra side hustle.
Yeah.
And so, is there anything that you notice with like bottlenecks?
I think it's a mix of things, but like I would say some of the biggest things I think that stand out is distractions these days. Like there's a lot more things that distract people. Like you can, and I'm no better of it sometimes where it's like, and I'm sure it happens to you, it's like you just get lost like scrolling on your phone looking at stuff that's wasting time when it's like, that can add up. I look at like my screen time at the end of the week and I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm doing this like 6 hours a day. I'm on my phone. I'm like, that's crazy,
That's a lot.
but like it's like, okay, it's part of my job. Like I ended up like I have to be messaging people, talking to people, communicating with people all the time. But it's like, there is a portion of that where it's just like I'm probably wasting an hour of time when it's like it's not really necessary scrolling or whatever, right? So I feel like distractions are a big factor for people now, and a lot of, along the lines of like, yeah, you can add in the fact that time is a little more crunched with like people having to, either work more or have a side hustle or just be more ambitious. But I think that's part of that's like the economy and inflation and things like that, and the other part of that is just like we always have, everybody's always wanting more. Everybody always wants to, improve their life or have more money or whatever the case might be. So I feel like that's always kind of like put in front of us too, as like, chasing after like more.
Mm.
So I think a lot of people are just, there's more people that are not satisfied. So they're always like feeling they need to do that. And then there's other things that, take a hit, whether it's health and fitness or something else.
Yeah.
And I think most people, the biggest struggle I see people run into is a combination of high stress and then that leading to like poor nutritional habits, especially like someone who's they don't eat, like they're like either they get high stress and they don't eat, or they get high stress and then they binge, or like a combination of the both. So I think that's the biggest thing that people definitely struggle with, because like most people, they'll fit in some type of exercise. If you're like 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, it's like I don't see too many people that I encounter that struggle with the exercise side of things. It's always the food, and it's usually a stress related, precursor that's
Preach.
leading to that food. You know what I mean? So it's like whether that's like late night snacking, whatever it could be, or they're just like, at the end of a hard day, they're just like, I just want to eat this.
This is so personal, bro.
Man, I do it too. So it's like a lot of people I know that deal with this, and I think I think that's the biggest thing, especially people who are
Yeah.
in that position where it's like, okay, they work, they have a full time job, or they have a side hustle, they have a family to provide for, whatever the case is. Those people, when that stress level is high, it's like, okay, they're looking for that like comfort. It's like a lot of people lean towards food. Some people might be like, oh, even if they're like someone who like smokes weed, like I smoke weed, but then it's like you smoke weed at night, you're gonna be like, oh no, I want a snack. So it's like, one thing leads to another, etc. But so that's the thing that I find I end up having to help people more with is like creating better habits so that like they can see that sustainable progress, and it's not like, okay, you can never have this or that, but it's like, okay, how do we manage this with your daily calorie intake, so it's like you can still enjoy these little things here and there, but it doesn't take you off track from what you're trying to accomplish.
No, I 100% agree. I think for me, it's it's um, it's going a very long period of time without eating, and then I
Yep.
just want to fucking eat so much because, and I think that's just lack of preparation. I think one of the things I'm gonna do right now is if I know that, for example, last month I don't feel like I made any progress. I didn't gain any weight. I feel like maybe
Yeah.
body composition got a little bit better, but I didn't lose the way I wanted to lose.
Yeah.
And it's poor planning, and it's that working so much. I wasn't planning on my business getting you know yeah, it's healthy. Like I make a lot more money now, like 20% more, but it was just going those long periods of time, and then 6 o'clock comes around, and I just want to like destroy everything. So now I know it's like, okay, I gotta look at my week ahead and plan. You have to have discipline to eat. That's
Yep.
one of the things I realized is like, it's not just discipline to not eat, it's discipline to eat at the right times to get ahead of the cravings.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree. And I'd run into the same issues. Like, we're both in different industries, but it's like, we end up having the same type of days where it's like, it just kind of gets away from you when you're getting busy. And like, like now that I'm, retired from competing and everything, like the biggest difference that I had was just like, okay, like I wasn't as obsessed with like meal timing, eating so many times a day, etc. So it's like, I definitely slacked on that. But the biggest things that I find that help me is, for one, and I do this with my clients too, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, where it's just like we got to like schedule in times where it's like it reminds you to eat. So it's like whether that's an alarm, whether that's just in your calendar, etc.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I always like to have meal prep in the fridge. So it's like if you have the time, like I'm personally, I consider myself lazy in the sense that I don't like meal prepping. So I pay for a meal prep service. I use Flavor Daddy every week.
Shout out flavor.
Shout out Flavor. That without that, man, like I would be like eating out way more than I should be. And it just make sure that I have like very good quality meals already there, macro friendly, and then I can just plug that into whether you're using an app like MyFitnessPal, or I can use my own coaching app, plug in what I'm eating, keep track of my calories, and then that way as the day goes on, I can make sure that I'm staying within the macros I need to. Through those meals. And then it's like at the end of the day, if I do want to have something different, then I'm like, okay, how many calories do I have left? And then it's just like, I can keep that within a healthy range if I'm going to have something, that's like quote unquote, not the healthiest option, or like wanting to eat out, whatever the case might be. But I definitely find like structuring that into your day with like the meal timing, and like having a meal prep service or prepping your meals in advance, like that makes a huge difference. And then you can still fit in those times where you eat out or whatever the case might be, or you have more of a spontaneous meal, but at least this way you're having the majority of your food be planned, and then it's going to take away from some of those craving. It's going to help with your day to day in regards to just functioning. And it's like, I find if I wait too long and I don't eat, it's like my performance when it comes to work life is going to, diminish your productivity, your cognitive function, things like that. So it's good to make sure you schedule those meals in, like your meetings and everything else, because it's only going to enhance those other things you're working on, whether it's, work or in the gym, etc. So, I always try to establish those habits, because it's like once you can establish that, man, it just like makes such a huge difference. And like, like I said, I struggle with this too at times. just being, someone who's busy and like you get on the go. But, once you make it habit, you're consistent with it, the results speak for themselves, and like, like Chris knows this because like I'll check in on him and message him and be like, hey man, how's things going? Blah, blah, blah. Just to make sure that he knows it's like, even if you're not, sending me a check in or reaching out, then it's like, I'm going to check in with you because that message to somebody just makes them, they're
It's a
like,
little
oh
slap.
shit.
It's like, yo,
They're like, oh shit. They're like, I gotta like,
yeah, I
step
know.
my game up now because he's like, he's paying attention, and like, and that's what I think people really benefit from is that accountability. And like, it's like whether it's the friend reaching out or a coach, whatever, it's like, it shows that like, they want to see you succeed. So it's like
You know what it's
keeping your
like?
ass on track.
It's like those speed light cameras. Remember, they took them now, but remember like the
Yeah,
speed
yeah,
light
speed cameras. Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah. It's
driving,
like
you're like, oh
keeps
shit.
that keeps you online, man.
That
It's
keeps
just
you in
like
line, bro.
somebody's watching. They might not see what you're doing, but they're
Yeah.
just like, hey, man, like, how's everything going? And then you're just
Yeah.
like, like I had this, and it's like, okay, well, like, let's reassess. Let's like recreate what we need to do here, and get back to business.
Yeah, and I think it's just like rolling with just having preparation,
Yep.
because when you look at somebody who's in really good shape, that's not somebody who has motivation. That's just somebody who has a lot of really ingrained habits.
Yeah, I mean, they're just it's a discipline at
It's
the end of the day,
discipline.
and I feel like some people, the one thing they don't realize is like people think like fitness is so vain, but like I feel like for me, bodybuilding and fitness was like one of those like things I had to do in order to give me that ability as a person to be that disciplined and pursue something like that that's so extreme, because like that can trickle into other areas of your life, like whether and with business and with like personal pursuits. And I was able to go from living like in a little room, like sleeping on an air mattress, to like being a like professional bodybuilder, buying a house, competing at the highest level, etc. And then like taking that and then like trickling that into like becoming successful with online coaching and pursuing other like business ventures. So it's like I think that discipline where people like they look at bodybuilding and fitness and they kind of almost look at it like, oh, you're so full of yourself, you're this and that. It's just like, yeah, there's going to be like things like that in every industry, but I think if you can channel that and bring it into other things, like other areas of your life, it's crazy what you can accomplish with like having established that level of discipline. Because if you're somebody like that can be that strict when it comes to like weighing and measuring your food, and being so strict with a training schedule, etc., and then still being able to work a full-time job, all these other things, that's like next level discipline, you know what I mean? And it's like once you can accomplish that kind of level, I think there's not many things you can't accomplish, in your life. And that's the one thing I do truly love about bodybuilding is like it's something where it can establish so many good things in regards to discipline and like leveling up your life in general. That has nothing to do with a physique, that's just like the byproduct of like all of those things, being executed properly.
Yeah, on the point of discipline, you know, discipline is also doing the things you don't want to do.
Oh,
A lot of people
100%.
like to work out, and so sometimes it's like being in shape. It's it shows discipline in some areas, but like you have to have discipline in some of the things that you don't like. So, for example, you'll meet the trainer who's jacked, but he's broke, for example, all the time
Yep.
because he doesn't have discipline to do prospecting, cold calling, doesn't have the discipline to be posting on Instagram, and so it's just you have to have that discipline in all areas, not just on the things you like. I like martial arts. I like going to
Yeah.
train. I love working. I lack on following my diet, and so that's like but
I think, yeah, no, I think that's a combination of like discipline, grit, and being willing to take a risk. Because I think a lot of people, it's like, like you mentioned with the trainer who's like, they're not prospecting, they're not trying to level up. It's like, I've seen many trainers where it's like, they're working for a corporate fitness gym and like they're getting half of their money basically stolen from them just to be in a corporate gym. When it's like, I'm like, man, why don't you try branching off on your own? Why don't you try and doing your own thing? Because I'm like, if you do that, like you could literally be making 100% of what you're charging.
yeah,
And at the same time, like you can build your business a lot further and charge more and, showcase a much more professional aspect of things the exact way you want to do it, not the way they want you to do it. And it's like a lot of people like, it's like you said before, those people that, they want to talk about it and they love the idea of talking about it. But then when they go to action, they're like, oh man, this is too much. I don't want to do it. It's too much of a risk. I'm going to lose
Yeah.
X, Y, Z. And it's like, man, if you never take risks and you never kind of like really like grind it out and really like go for it, like you never get anywhere you want to get to. You know what I mean? Like it's like you could take the safe bet and be like, okay, I'll do this job, whatever. But it's like your ceiling's here. It's like, or you can like chase after things. What's like the potentials could be up here, but it's like, yeah, you also have the potential where it's like things could go, shit could hit the fan. But it's like those are learning curves. Those are places where it's like if you do
The character development.
yeah, and it develops character. You have to, go through those losses. It makes you stronger, and then, you never know how long it's going to take, but you'll get those wins, man. Like it could be like a few shitty months, and then you have a good month, whatever. It's like even when you do have the wins, it's not like they're forever. It's like you still deal with the grit, but it's like you're making like it's like stocks. It's like you're slowly, taking dips, but then you're going back up. You're taking a little dip, but then you're going back up, and it's gradually climbing that mountain. So at the end of the day, like if you're not willing to take the risk, you don't have the balls or, whatever to take the risk, then like, the discipline will only take you so far
Yeah.
because like, the risk
Very
has
true.
to be there to get the reward.
I think you wanna get those fails out of the way, man. I'm always like, I'm trying something. I'm like, okay, I need to fail and get those
Yeah.
fails as out of the way. The
Literally.
faster you fail, the faster you succeed. The faster something flops, like okay, well, it gets to a point when it becomes irrational to keep failing.
Yeah.
So you do it so much. You're putting so many tokens in the slot machine. You're going to hit at some point. You will, but you never start. Like if you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just and yeah, and I also see a lot of like the whole mental masturbation where just people just talk and talk and talk and talk, but they never really follow through. So
I
for
think,
me, it's like yeah, just get to it. You're oftentimes you're gonna get a lot of praise when you launch. Everybody gets praised when they launch.
yeah.
Nobody gets praised after you've been trying it for 4 months, right? You make, let's say, for example, you want to start a vlog, you want to start a fitness channel. The very first post, all your friends are going to like it. You're going to get a lot of support. If you keep posting after 3 months, it gosh is going to go away. And that's when it starts.
true.
That's when it fucking starts. And that's the good news about that is that there is that it's like that for everybody.
Yeah.
And so that's like the work that you have to overcome. And if you do that and if you push through that, which can take months, years, then you're gonna be very successful. And by the time you get successful, you're gonna have so much knowledge and context,
Yep.
right? Because you have all these fails that you already did. And yeah, for me, I'm not worried about failing. I want to get those fails. I've in my line of work, I'm doing really good, and it's not because I'm smarter or better than anybody else. It's because I'm more willing to fail than most people,
Yeah.
and I'm more willing to look ridiculous. I'm more willing to look stupid, cringe, more willing to ask the stupidest questions. But I get rewarded.
No, it's true.
I'm
It's
not
like,
crying. I'm just my allergies are pretty bad this time of year.
that's okay.
I shouldn't say I'm crying.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, man, like it's crazy how people like they're afraid to get out of that comfort zone. They're afraid to fail. And it's exactly like you said. Like I'd much rather get those fails out of the way
Yeah.
and and learn from them and then continue to succeed than be afraid of making failures because it's like I've definitely failed lots and lots and lots of times, and I'll definitely have more failures in the future. But the wins that I've encountered to date, or the wins that I'll encounter in the future, is because of those failures and because of going after it and because of wanting to learn. And it's like you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the most gifted, you don't have to be the person who has like the most things given to them, whatever the case might be. You just have to be willing to stick with it and
Correct.
willing to adapt to survive, like whether that's due to like what's working, what's not. It's like, sometimes you pursue different business ventures and it doesn't pan out, or you have to continue to adjust, whatever it is. And you learn from that, and it just like you become better and better. And it's like, there's so many, different parts of our lives where it's like, you can continue to have new opportunities and new things happen as like things change and time progresses. So it's like you could be, a lot of people be in their 30s and they think they're behind, but it's like, like some people don't. You look at so many of these successful people over the years, and it's like some of these people don't hit it big till they're in their like 40s, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
60s, whatever the case might be. So, don't just quit just because of your age and think you're behind schedule. It's like, some of these people who are billionaires, it's like that didn't even happen until they're in their like 50s or 60s or like whatever, you know what I mean? So like it doesn't mean you're behind just because you compare yourself to somebody you see on social media, whatever. you know
That's the worst. Social
Focus
media.
on where you were at last year or where you were at 5 years ago, and then look at where you're at now. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing better than you were 5 years ago, that's a win. You know what I mean? Like don't look at that and be like, oh, like I should be here, I should be there. It's like, yeah, cool. Like you can use that to motivate you and keep you, pushing forward, but don't let it make you feel like you've never, done anything positive. Because I think that's another thing where people can, they can get burnt out if they're like pushing themselves
Mm-hmm.
too much and not taking those moments to like reflect and be like, okay, I've really come a long way, and I need to give myself like, a bit of a pat on the back or whatever. But I still do want to pursue and like get better and do these and like improve these areas. So it's like a good way to kind of like self reflect and keep yourself accountable, but keep yourself also in like, a sustainable mindset and a sustainable approach. So it's like, you're not hitting those, those burnouts like mentally and physically, emotionally as much as you would if you're like always applying pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think there needs to be a little bit of that balance in there, and that's one thing I've learned myself. Because like I would definitely get to those points where it's like, if you're going too hard, like 10 out of 10, like every day, then
Redlining.
like you burn out. But it's like now I'm like, okay, like there's days of the weeks where I'm like, okay, this day, like whether it's a weekend or whatever, it's like, okay, I got to make sure that, I only dedicate this small portion of the day to something business related, and then the rest of the day is like personal, whatever,
Yeah.
or to relax, etc. So it's like incorporating that in there where it's like, it's still part of it's still like a schedule in a sense, but like it's like those days are more chill days, and then the other days are like go hard days. So it's like you're balancing it out throughout the week, and then it's like this is something you can do sustainable long term, business wise, fitness wise, whatever it is.
And to your point about like, you know, getting down on yourself and stuff, or comparing yourself, this is where a good community it's
Yeah,
important, and that's why like I think when you launch that community, it will help. It will
yep,
help people who's maybe 5 steps ahead of you, and it'll help you help people that are 5 steps behind you. I think
so true.
that's one of those things, and you know this better than like anybody, right? Like when you get somewhere, one of the nicest things you can do is to help people
Nah,
get
man,
there faster,
I was
and especially if they listen.
yeah. No, it's crazy. I was literally just saying that to like my fiance actually. Like I was saying that to her like this week because I'm like I'm always I'm always trying to do things for her, not because I'm like, you know, like not because I feel obligated or whatever. But it's just like, it's like me wanting to succeed is like more than just for me at this point in my life, So it's like, I want to be successful to like, benefit her life, to like literally benefit our dog's life, benefit like your families in general.
Yeah,
And it's like, like that motivation is different, I find. And it's like I was saying this to her where I'm just like, I do these things like for you or for other people because like, I feel like if I'm just doing this all for myself, like I'm like, what's the point? I'm like,
yeah,
if I was just doing things for myself, I'd just be like, I wouldn't be as like, determined to like keep moving forward and keep like doing better. And like you said with the community, it's like, having a place like that where, you can have people that are relatable. It's like you can show those real aspects of life. And I feel like that's something I've tried to be able to show people more is like, continue to show, a more personal side of things and show that you're human. Whether you've had success or not had success. And it's just like makes you more relatable, and it makes a lot of people feel like, okay, like, he deals with these struggles too, or he deals with this and that. And it's like, it's a way for us all to come together and like literally like help each other level up. It's like, yeah, I can teach you all these different things, but there's things that you're going to do that are going to help me just by like, talking about your own things and being like, yeah, like hearing you say this helped me with this, etc. It's like literally it's like a giant group chat where people can
yeah.
be able to like improve each other's lives, which is, amazing. And, I
Especially
really look forward
nowadays
to
with
it.
we have like the loneliness epidemic,
Yeah.
and so you have to have this because if not, like I mean, mental health is a big one,
100%.
And I would say that having a community, it will help you a lot. And having dogs,
Yeah.
you're not never gonna get depressed if you have fucking dogs,
That's
bro.
so true, man. Your dogs are like the best mental health thing ever.
Yeah,
Like for me, like I definitely find like anytime that I'm not feeling myself or you're feeling upset, it's like dogs.
yeah,
Dogs are the ones that are gonna like probably bring you out of that the best. Obviously, yeah. Like my fiance is great
of
too,
course.
but um, dogs are just like it's like literally unconditional. Like they're never mad at you, and like
No.
it's crazy, man. Anybody who doesn't have a dog, get a dog. that's
Yeah,
my
especially if
that's
you're
my
feeling
message.
down and whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, I always had dogs. I had a Ruddy before
yeah,
her, and it's just like it's a good thing to have, man. And
it's so
you
true.
feel so lonely. Like I couldn't imagine. And back to your point about like motivation,
Hmm.
they're like, yeah, even dogs will push. Like one of the reasons why I want a massive backyard. I, I live in this massive house just because I have the dogs, bro. I could
Yeah,
just be fine in a fucking condo. Guys are so simple. This is why you have to have a good why or like something bigger than you, because we're so simple into like what we need to just survive. Like I could just be on a freaking mattress on the floor
yep,
in in a warehouse and shower at the I lived like that for a while and I was fine, man. Sometimes I miss those days, but then when my purposes started getting bigger, now that I have a company, I have 30 employees, I have my dogs, I got my girlfriend, got all of these things, and now I'm like, okay, it's good. And so like as a man, it's very important that you go and find that purpose.
yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people just give up too quick. And so like, man, this might be a controversial opinion, but sometimes if you buy more than you can chew, you ever notice like sometimes like people are fine and they go and they get themselves a nice car and now they're stressed out about the payments and they're like, dog, now you got a purpose though. Now you're gonna work
It
those
sounds like the story of my life.
what
I
but
feel like I do that all the time.
but it fucking helps you though.
No, it's true, and
You
like
take a big bite, it's like,
that's
oh
such a
fuck.
that's such a guy thing too, because it's
Yeah.
like girls don't do that. Girls are just like whatever. They'll like they'll spend their whole paycheck, but it's like a guy will be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna buy this, and this will motivate me to like put even more effort in my business so I can make sure I can like cover these costs, whatever it is. But it's so funny, man. Like I definitely do that. I find myself doing that sometimes. And it's like, but it kind of works because
It
I'm like,
fucking works every single. I promise you, don't go crazy buying a car right now. So, but like just within reason. I remember I was so stressed when I bought my first house about the
yeah,
fucking taxes, and it was part of an HOA, and all of these things, and it worked out.
yeah.
Take that step and take that step with the business. Take that step with the dog. I mean, people I know like I'm like get a dog, and they're like, no, it's too much work. I'm like, trust me, it's gonna work, and I'm telling you, it'll be like that with kids too. Everybody's like, oh, I'm not ready for kids. It's gonna be like that with children. I've seen it with everybody.
No, it's so true. And like, like you're saying before, it's like you need to have that purpose at the end of the day. So like whatever that purpose is for you is going to be, unique to you. But it's like you said, like, for me, it's like I look back and it's like, less than 10 years ago, I was living in that shitty apartment and, having like the bare minimum of everything, not having like, what I have now. And it's like, now having those, other purposes and motivations in your life, it's like, totally different. It's like you have that big backyard for your dogs, you got that, car for your partner, you got the, you're doing all these things and it's like there's so much more purpose and so much more to keep you driven, versus
Yeah.
like before it's like you're like, oh, I'm good with this because like, and like you said, you reflect sometimes and you're like, oh, I kind of miss the simplicity, but at the same time you're like, yeah, if I went back to that though, it'd be like, I'd be lazier probably because I'm
Yep.
just like it'd be so easy to maintain that versus like if you want to improve from there and you want to like have bigger goals, it involves a lot more dedication and everything else. So it's like but having that purpose, I think for me it's like you have a purpose to get out of bed every morning, as opposed to like just like dragging your ass out of bed because you're just like, oh, I got to go do this job I hate and blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. It's like, nah, man, I get to get up and pursue the things I love, make my own schedule, and like take care of the people that mean the most to me. So like
Yeah.
what else really matters at the end of the day? Like it's like if I'm not driven to do that, then it's like, what am I driven to do?
And I think that's one of the biggest things now with AI and the type of future that looks so dystopian is the male purpose. Because even if everybody got like universal high income, which is a thing that they're talking about, right? A high
Yeah.
universal basic income. What drives men is purpose. And what drives men is providing, bro. Honestly, providing for your tribe, your household. And so I don't know what the future is gonna hold if we got robots doing everything for us. But between now and then, it's very important that you find that, and also too, like me and you, even in the like 5 6 years we know each other, bro. The goalpost is just moving and moving. Your goals are not the same 5 6 years ago. They're
No.
completely moved. You get to that. You take a nice pat on the back, take a nice deep breath, and it's like, what's next? What's next? And what's next? And the cool thing about having that community is that you don't get complacent, right? You keep moving that post because you have that treadmill effect, right? You
Yeah.
got 5 friends, and all of them are running on the treadmill. You're not gonna be walking. You're gonna speed it up a little bit. So
No, that's so true. And like, getting back to like talking about like, AI and like people and like men obviously needing that purpose and everything in their lives. Like, I think, there's great things obviously about like AI integration with so many aspects, but yeah, like having, certain, jobs and occupations that could be taken over because of that. That's tough for some people to swallow, but I think it's, an occasion for them where it's just like, okay, I need to, you know, get ahead of this and, focus on, what can I do to make sure that this doesn't impact me, et cetera. Like, do I need to learn a new skill? Do I need to, try something new? And this is that opportunity for them to, to find a new purpose or be willing to take that risk, as opposed to just like kind of sitting complacently and complaining about it, And I think if you just want to complain about it and be like AI this, AI this and that, they're going to take this over. It's like, okay, yeah, you can sit there and, waste your time like being like, well, this sucks. Or you could get out there and be like, okay, this sucks, but how do I work around this? Now like, how do I adjust? How do I adapt? And it's like, that's the way you should be approaching,
yep.
these types of situations. If it's something that's going to impact your livelihood, and that's the way I look at it on a daily basis. Like, if you run into problems with your business, you're just like, okay, like, how do I fix this? How do I like make this better? How do I improve from this? Blah blah blah. And it's always, a way to learn, and you'll notice that, like you said, with the goalposts that move, and that purpose starts to move too, where it's like, okay, it might have been initially like this was the goal, this was the goalpost, this was the purpose, and then it's like over time that starts to shift, and it's like you have to, continually take those moments to, yeah, like pat yourself on the back, but also reassess and be like, okay, like, what is the goalpost now? What is the purpose now? And it's like reflect on that, make sure that you're moving towards it,
Yeah.
and put in that daily, discipline and grit to make it happen.
It's so important to develop those habits at a young age, and I think the easiest way to get those habits, if you don't go to the military, is fitness.
Yeah,
Honestly, if you're 17, you start hitting the gym, you get so much more than just the physical. First of all, you
100%.
get to build a physical foundation because as you get older, you have more responsibilities,
Yeah,
and
for
so
real.
you know. And I
Yeah.
and look, man, I made this post the other day. It's like nobody over 30 has time to go to the gym. Everybody who's in
Oh,
shape
easily. Like,
makes time
yeah.
to go to the gym. And I heard Hormozy said this one time, which is very very true. It's like, look at where you are, and if you don't make time to go to the gym this week, then accept that this is how you're gonna look like forever.
Yeah.
Because it's not you're not gonna have less energy and you're not gonna have less time. So it's either go
100%.
now or accept that this is what you're gonna look like for the rest of your life. Is that something you're willing to accept? If the answer is no, then make the time and go today, right now.
Oh, exactly, man. Like, it's funny because like I say it like even with my fiance or my friends or whatever. I'm like laughing because it's like people will say like, oh, I don't have time, but it's like, okay, like I said back when I was talking about the scrolling, I'm like, I guarantee you, there's probably 30 minutes of of a day where you're like wasting time just
Yeah.
scrolling on your phone. I guarantee you, there's probably something that you watch on TV at night where it's like, okay, maybe you could relax for like half an hour, and watch something at the end of the night, but like, you're probably doing like 2 hours. You know what I mean? Where it's like that 1 hour could be going to the gym,
Yeah.
like, or even half an hour, man. Like, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to look at it where it's like, I think people look at it and they get overwhelmed too soon from it. You know what I mean? They're like, don't going from 0 to 100, where it's like, okay, I haven't been going to the gym at all, and then they're going to go to the gym like 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, or something. You know what I mean? They try and go too much too quick, and they can't sustain it. So it's like, just baby steps, man. Go to the gym 3 times a week for 30 minutes.
There you go.
And it's like, if you never worked out, start easy. Do a few exercises, get on the treadmill, whatever. Get your body moving. Doesn't have to be complicated. Doesn't have to be a specific plan. Just get into that routine, make it a habit, and then it's like from there, then you can start to develop yourself. And that's where, like I said, with the school community that I'm building, that's something where it's going to help you with those fundamentals of like how to approach these situations, and like build that program to help you like sustain progress, see things, and like build those habits that you want to establish. So it's like, if you really do want to see a change and you don't know where to start, a community like this is going to be great for you, because it's going to help you
Preach.
get on the right track, and avoid a lot of these pitfalls that a lot of people end up getting into, because it's like they don't have that accountability. Maybe they can't afford like a high ticket one-on-one coach, and it's like this is going to be an ability to have that kind of coaching dynamic and give you that direction, without the specificity, like, of course, with one-on-one coaching. But you get a lot of information, especially for someone who's beginning and starting out. It would be a huge benefit for them.
No, 100%. I definitely believe that. I like what you're doing. I'm definitely gonna sign up to your community. Obviously, I think it's important also to having, well, not only the community aspect of it, competition. I mean, we're primal animals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's so true.
I don't want to be, bro. I don't want to be the fat. I feel like right now I'm still the fat one. No, actually, no flavor.
Flavor.
I'm kidding.
I
Bob.
think he got back in the gym though. I think I remember I talked to him. He said he was getting back in the gym, so he's gonna be jacked again soon.
Yeah, there you go. Bob.
Yeah.
No, but I don't. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to be the fat one. You don't want to be the broke one of. You don't listen. People will level you up,
Yeah.
right? And it's very hard right now to find good people. And I think the best place to start is a school community like the one you're building, because right away you're gonna get in there, and it's gonna be a lot of like-minded people with a similar goal.
No,
So
100%.
you know. So when are you launching it?
So yeah, today, like, I think we're recording this today. It's like February 5th. So my plan is to get it launched going into next week. So
Nice.
like ideally, today's Thursday. So like I would say by Monday, I'm gonna it's gonna be launched. I'm doing like I've like obviously talked about it on this podcast, but the only other place I've really posted about it was in my broadcast channel for people who wanted to join early before the content's actually up there. So it's like if they want to join early, they can totally sign up early and just like get a feel for what's going to be going on there. But yeah, it's going to be live going into next week, which I'm excited for. I just spent like a good amount of time today recording a bunch of content to have going live in there. So it's very detailed videos, like not like short little like 30-second videos like I would post on Instagram.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting like 3 to 5 minute videos where it's like I'm going more in depth. And you're going to get a lot more opportunity to learn from like the lives and everything, where I'll be talking about very detailed topics and giving you the opportunity to ask me questions directly at the end of these lives. So you're getting a lot for like a very like low monthly fee. It's actually crazy to be giving this much value, but I want to provide that type of value for everybody, so they can continue to level up, and the more people I can help succeed,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, that's that's what matters most to me. So having this community is definitely a really big deal, and I'm excited to launch this going into next week. And just to give you guys like a heads up with the name is going to be shit, I forget what it was. I forget the name now. But like,
That's fine.
sorry, it's Apex Performance Lab
Apex
is the name.
performance.
So it's kind of tied into my coaching brand with the Apex Gains coaching.
Yeah.
With that Apex as like us men, we all want to be the apex. We want to be the the highest level. So this is kind of like tying that into there, where it's like the Apex Performance Lab. So
Nice.
helping everybody hit the peak performance in their lives, and bringing it all together so we can all level up.
I'm definitely gonna be on that, bro, and I'm looking forward to it. Apex. I honestly, man, I feel like a fucking apex right now. Especially because I've been training so hard. I'm sparring. I'm training really hard. The gym, like, I can go back to any point in my life and beat the fuck out of myself, bro. I think that's a goal every guy should have.
No, and it's true, and it's cool that you're saying like you feel that, especially this time of year where it's like a lot of people usually don't feel their best, like especially in the winter months. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're feeling that good in the winter, we got spring and summer coming. Like it's gonna be like next level for you. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, bro. I
Which is
feel
gonna be sweet.
this is the strong. I'm 36.
Yeah,
This is the most energetic, like stronger. My cardio is really good. Like
yeah.
I can last a few rounds like sparring. Oh, I love it, and I love the fact that I found the system that works for me. And no, it's just great, man. You're a great coach, bro. I don't know if you ever
Oh,
hear
thanks,
that.
bro.
You're a good fucking great coach, man.
I've definitely, I
Really appreciate it, bro.
not the first time I've heard that, but I'm just kidding.
And the
but
most humble too.
But yeah, like it's it's nice. It's nice to me to hear that from people. Like I
Yeah,
do, like put a lot of, I guess, passion into what I'm doing, and it's like I do like genuinely want to see people do well. So it's that's it's always nice to hear that from people. And I do hear it from people at times, and it's great. Because it's like I never wanted to be one of those coaches where people are like, oh, that guy's terrible, or
yeah,
he's just like this or that, whatever. It's like like I want to provide a lot of value and make people feel like okay, like he actually is he actually believes in me, believes in
yeah.
my success, and is giving me that guidance that I
Calls me out too.
and calls you out on it too.
Yeah,
It's like you need to have that healthy mix of it's like okay, they're supporting you, encouraging you, and being almost like a cheerleader at times, but at the
yeah,
same time like they're gonna bring you back down to earth and be like, hey man, like you're slacking right now. You got to like step your game up and like really like start pushing hard because
yeah,
if you want to see this weight loss, you want to see this happen, like you got to put that work in. So
yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like you got to have that mix, and it's like one of those. One of my slogans over the years, like with coaching, was like the no bullshit attitude, where it's like, you know, giving people no bullshit when it comes to the goals they want to accomplish, and it's like I'm not going to take any bullshit. I'm not going to let you give yourself any bullshit. It's like do the work, do it to the fullest and the best you can, and make those goals a reality.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. It's very important what you do. I mean, to get a guy his late 30s now and feeling better than I did by even in my late 20s,
Yeah,
that's big, man. He helps every area of life.
hundred
I go
percent.
to work and I'm in such a good mood, and when you're in shape, and this is my line: nothing matters if you're not in shape.
Yeah, man.
I don't give a fuck what you drive. If you're not in
Yeah,
shape, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
nah, man, that's
When
so
you're in
true.
shape, you can have a $10 watch and a $10 shirt. Doesn't matter. You're in shape.
Yeah, man.
So
So true, man. Like people will respect you way more just for having your fitness level, and looking, looking the part. It's like to
yeah,
me, it's like if I walk into any business and the guy that I'm, or man or woman, whoever it is, like that I encounter is like clearly takes care of themselves, then like I'm automatically more interested in doing business with them,
yeah,
just because of that. And it's like people can say that's think whichever way they want about that. But at the end of the day, man, like you said, if you're not in shape, nothing really matters. And I think
right.
if the more people took that seriously, like they would see themselves do way better, in life. And I think it's like it applies to like every field, really.
Yeah,
Like, people get promotions, people have better work performance, blah blah blah, because they take their fitness and health seriously. And
yep.
the more people do that, the better it is for society. I would say, to be honest, because it's just like improving everybody's life, improving their well-being, and there's not a single person I would know that is you know, very health and fitness conscious that isn't generally happy. You know what I mean? Like there's very
Right.
few people that are like, passionate about that and take care of themselves that are like extremely miserable.
Yeah.
It's like a very small percentage, because their mental health's better, their physical health is better. Generally speaking, I would say for the most part, they're generally happier people. And I think that is a huge thing for people to notice as well, is being like, okay, if you're taking these aspects of your life seriously, along with, business, et cetera, everything else, then it's like, you're going to contribute towards that overall well being a lot more.
Absolutely, bro. On that note, this was great, man.
Yeah, man.
Let's do another one soon, bro. Let's do some boxing too, bro.
Yeah, man. 100%.
Let's
Let's
get
get
it
back in
done.
it.
Bad Hombre Joe. It's like the fifth or sixth time in the podcast. I don't even know how many.
It's been quite a few,
It's
but
been
I'm always
quite a
happy
few.
to come on, man.
There you go, bro.
All right.
Good stuff, man.